Nuclear waste is extremely hot and intensely radioactive, and right now it's sitting all over the US in storage that was never engineered to be permanent. If this material ever leaked into the environment, the health risks could be catastrophic. But while the US has the world's largest stockpile of nuclear waste, it has fallen behind in building a long-term home for it. We asked an expert what it would take to actually solve the problem.
I'm Allison Macfarlane. I was chair of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission under the Obama administration. I've worked on nuclear waste disposal for 30 years. Nuclear waste disposal in the US is a solvable problem. It's a problem we've known how to solve for many years, and we can make progress. Nuclear power uses the energy from the splitting of atoms. And the fuel is uranium dioxide in small pellets stacked in a fuel rod using a metal cladding around it. And those fuel rods are gathered together in what we call assemblies. After about 4 to 6 years, nuclear fuel can no longer sustain the chain reaction. It's used or spent, and it has to be removed from the reactor core. When it's removed, it's both thermally and radioactively very hot. And so it is put directly into a deep pool that is right there on the premises. And that pool is between 30 and 40 feet deep. It can stay there for many, many decades. After it's cooled for about 5 years, it can be removed from the pool and put into a dry cask. So basically a concrete and steel structure. Dry casks have been used in the United States since 1985, but we don't know how long they will last. At some point in time, in the next 50 to 100 years, they will have to be removed and put into something else. Otherwise, radioactivity is going to get into the environment and infect humans.
The latest on the disaster in Japan.
The 40-year-old nuclear plant damaged by the earthquake, its power knocked out.
50 workers, folks. They are standing alone against catastrophe.
The reason that we're concerned about spent nuclear fuel is that it can pose hazards. During the Fukushima accident in 2011, we were worried that if the winds were in the wrong direction, the radiation could go all the way down to Tokyo, which could force the evacuation of Tokyo. Fortunately, that didn't happen. One idea that's been around for a while is reprocessing or recycling spent nuclear fuel. And why don't we do this? It's very expensive, and in the end, you still have high-level nuclear waste. You could shoot it into outer space, of course, and if it blows up in the atmosphere, then you're going to spread radiation over the entire planet and we're all going to be contaminated. Putting it in deep seabeds is also a non-starter because those deep seabeds are in international waters and there are international treaties prohibiting this. So we're left with deep geologic disposal. In general, the idea is to build something deep underground, deep enough so that you don't have to worry about erosion in the future. You want this repository to last 10,000, 100,000, a million years, a really long time. To actually make a repository a reality, which Finland is in the process of right now, you have to mine down 400 or 500 meters. And so you'll end up with something like this, and maybe you'll have a rail track, and that's how you will get the canisters down there, and they may look something like this. Another piece of this for the US is figuring out the transportation of the spent fuel to the repository. One imagines that you'd mostly rely on rail, some road, and that means every facility where spent fuel is has to have some kind of accessible railhead. The most difficult part of a repository is finding the site and getting public agreement on the site.
In the 1980s, the Department of Energy identified 9 possible sites for a nuclear waste repository. That was cut down to 3 for further investigation. 1 in Texas, 1 in Washington, and 1 in Nevada. Then it settled on 1 site, Yucca Mountain.
The state of Nevada called it the Screw Nevada Bill, and they have consistently opposed nuclear waste going to Yucca Mountain since then, so for almost 40 years. Other countries have made a lot of progress on this issue. Finland is furthest ahead. Their repository is under construction, and they'll be putting their spent fuel in the repository before 2030. Sweden has selected a site. Canada has selected a site. Switzerland here has selected a site. France has selected a site as well. A number of countries are actively looking for a site, including Germany, the UK, Japan. The big question mark is what happens in the US. First, two things have to be fixed. One is the implementer, the organization that finds the site, operates the repository, and then places the waste. The second is the money.
While other countries use independent organisations to manage nuclear waste, the US relies on the Department of Energy, making the process subject to political whims. When it comes to funding, Congress hasn't approved anything for a permanent commercial nuclear waste repository since 2010, and the country's $51 billion nuclear waste fund is effectively frozen.
In the US, we've been able to build 2 new reactors in that time without actually dealing with the nuclear waste issue. I'm hopeful with all this talk of new reactors and this excitement about expanding nuclear power that people realize that part of expanding nuclear power is also carefully managing the waste.